Welcome to the Power of One. Today I will be speaking with Jason Suber, who was a victim of gun violence. He was shot 16 times. Jason did indicate that he was leading a life that he was not proud of, and he also had a 9 to 5. So today I will sit down to speak with someone who can shed a little light on why some people make the decisions they do. Welcome to the show, Jason. Jason, tell me how your life changed on February 24th, 2018.
Um, and it was drastic. It was a drastic change coming from, not, not working at all to, just receiving benefits and stuff like that. Um, it just was. It's kind of crazy still to this day, and it happened almost 2 years ago. So it just put like a strain on my life or whatever, and now I'm experiencing feelings that I never felt before, as far as like being paranoid. My anxiety acts up, and 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 having PTDS or whatever.
Tell me what happened that day.
I was shot 16 times uh, by an assailant, and it was. I knew of the one guy, and I didn't know the other guy or whatever. So it was just, I got. I don't know. It was
Okay,
just
so Jason, do me a favor. Tell me tell me how it all occurred. Walk me through step by step what happened.
I was supposed to meet with my cousin, and I did meet with my cousin. And when I pulled up, it was my cousin and two guys there, and I was just thinking, like, what are these guys doing down here? I'm just supposed to be meeting with my cousin, and we supposed to be out going to have some food and drinks or whatever. So, when I pulled up, I parked my car. I started walking towards them, and they walked towards me. So the guy, one of the guys that I knew of, greeted me. I greeted him back. He shook my hand, and I was shaking the other guy's hand, and he asked me a question. He was like, he asked me two questions. He said, "What's up with you? What's up with you and such and such? Why y'all keep running around here treating me like I'm some type of little kid?" I said, I don't know what you're talking about. Look, man, I just got off of work. If you want answers to your question, you're gonna have to call that man and ask him. I can't answer none of your questions. Like, you got to call him and ask him. I can't answer none of your questions. I can't help him. So I seen it in his face. He was like, kind of like, oh, you standing up to me. Oh, you tough. You going to poke your chest out. Like, that's the look that he gave me. So he asked me another question. He said, um, "Why y'all running around here treat me like I'm some type of little kid or something? Why y'all got all the work and I don't have none?" So I got mad, and my reaction towards those questions was like, I'm a man just like you. You're not gonna sit here and ask me these questions, and you can be asking another man. So I know he's seeing all of that, the anger and aggression probably in my face, and he was like, and so I balled my fist up. I'm not sure if he's seen that, and then he was he 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 did like some type of motion, and the other guy that was with him, I didn't see him when he pulled the weapon out. The first two shots were in my neck, in my mouth. First two shots was in my neck. My mouth was started filling up with blood. I grabbed the blood out of my mouth, threw it on the ground so I don't choke on my own blood. I knew that, but at the same time, like, I was in distressed. I was like still calm and not panicking or nothing like that. So as I'm grabbing the blood out of my mouth, simultaneously, I did everything at the same time. My intentions was to run and get away. So he shot me They shot me twice in my neck. I ran. Then I got shot 4 times. Once in the buttocks, the groin, my leg, and my pelvic. Those were the next 4 shots. So that made me like fall on the ground. I got kind of far, but I fell on the ground. So when I fell on the ground, I remember I remember when I ran and I fell on the ground. And then when I fell on the ground, I don't remember the guy getting over top of me, shooting me. What was that? So that was 4, 6. He shot me 9 more times. My back, my shoulder, uh, twice in my back, my shoulder, my my. I forget this other area. I can't really. Well, after I got shot twice in the neck, 4 times, and then he shot me 9 more times. I only. I don't know the doctor term, but I know I got shot in my shoulder, twice in my back, um, near my lungs. I'm not, if I ain't mistaken. Um, and uh, I don't remember like the doctor terms or
So when you went
those.
into the hospital, you were not coherent.
Nah, I wasn't. They said I was the when they said I was done. Like they said I wasn't gonna make it.
Mm. How long were you in the hospital?
Almost 2 months.
Okay. And how many surgeries did you undergo?
I went through like over 10 surgeries.
Mm. Mm. Wow. Because I know at one time you were going with me to the schools to speak to the students about gun violence, and you had a colostomy bag at that time, right?
Yeah, yes, I had the colostomy bag.
And how long
I,
did you
st-
have the
I still
colostomy
had the
bag?
trach. I had the trach in my throat as well too. I had the
Wow.
trach. Yeah, I still had the trach in my throat, in my neck, because they didn't take that off because they didn't know if they were going to take the colostomy bag off. So they had to leave the trach in my throat just in case I had to have like another procedure done. Like if I went, if I couldn't breathe or something like that, or just in case. So they just left it on until they took the colostomy bag off first. But I think I may have had that on for like, I want to say 6 months, maybe.
Mm. Okay. And you have children?
Yes, 3.
Okay. So tell me how your children reacted once you were able to come to and they knew that their dad was shot 16 times.
Um, they they were happy and relieved. They felt a lot better than they did during the time that it did happen or whatever. You know, it 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 wasn't easy for them. I know that because it wasn't easy for me during my recovery. And when I did wake up and come to my senses that I was alive, I didn't believe it. Um, but they definitely I mean they're fine, but people go through things that some kids will hide feelings and the way they feel, and some kids will tell you how they feel or whatever. And my son was one of them that told me that, Dad, um, I know what type of person you are. This is what he told me. My son is 12, so he probably told me this when he was like a year. He told me this like a year and a half ago, maybe. Probably was like 11, going on 12 or so. But he was like, Dad, you know, just don't do nothing about the situation. Just
Mm.
let God handle it. So, he did tell me that. So he was like, just like, I know how you are, so don't do anything. Don't worry about it. Just leave it in God's hands. So, I just took his advice.
So let's have a real conversation. Were you doing anything that led up to that unfortunate incident? Were you living a lifestyle that would have been the result of what happened?
Yes, I mean when you in the streets, those are the things that come with it. So it was like okay, I knew what I was doing, and I knew what came with what I was doing.
Mhm.
But to get shot like that, I didn't deserve that because I didn't do nothing to them. The two guys that shot me, I didn't do nothing to them guys. I didn't, I didn't take them guys' place. Like I got shot out of like pure jealousy and envy. Like, okay, here it is. This guy don't want to mess with you no more, and he started dealing with me.
Mhm.
And then y'all get with that. I'm dealing with this person, and y'all not getting no more money with this person, and y'all know he getting a lot of money. So it's like, okay, we gonna just make an example out of him.
So, but it's all of the streets. And, but like you said, that you know that this is one of the consequences
Yeah, it's
of your
definitely
actions.
it's a lot of stuff that comes with that. Like it's a lot of things that come with being in the streets. So that's why I chose not to deal around. Well, I didn't after that happened. I didn't deal with nothing that had nothing to do with the streets after. That was over 2 years ago.
So that actually changed your lifestyle. Now, let me ask you a question. If that incident did not occur, do you think you would still be living that lifestyle?
I I think no no I really honestly no. I had it was at a point in my mind that I did get tired of it, and I'm like, nah. It wasn't at the end of the day. It's not worth it. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't like me almost losing my life for that. That ain't worth it. No, it
So,
wasn't worth it.
another question. Now, did you have a 9 to 5?
Yes,
You had
I
a
work.
legit 9 to 5,
Yes,
but
I
you,
would go to
but you
not to
still
cut.
chose to
Mm,
have that extra activity going on.
yeah, I mean yes, but
Tell
it's
me why.
like
Tell me why.
when you. Well, I can explain it like this because I know this because I've been through it. So how I can explain me. I can't speak for anyone else because I
Right,
don't
just
know
for
what
you.
goes on. Yeah, just for me. So I don't know what goes on in anyone else's head and brain and like that. So what me is like it it wasn't as much as the lifestyle. It was just like, all right, I'm just content with my little couple dollars, my little money that I'm making, and I can just go ahead and just go in the house. I wasn't doing anything extra or Rolex watches, none of that stuff. I wasn't buying none of that stuff. I was just taking care of my responsibility. So it was
So,
like
like,
when you,
was your 9 to 5, were you struggling like with your 9 to 5, and that's why you went that way? Or tell me why you did both.
it was just, it was like, it was extra money. I didn't
Okay.
look at it like my job. I just was starting out at the job when all in all, I could have just been doing like overtime and getting whatever little money I was making in the streets. I could have been doing that instead of being in the streets. If I did like more overtime than usual,
Mm-hmm.
I probably would have made a significant amount of money at my job opposed to being out in the street. So it was like when you in the streets, that money comes so fast and easy, but there's also consequences and repercussions beyond everything that goes on out in the street. That's what people don't understand.
So
All right,
some
it might
people.
the getting be good when the getting is good.
Mm-hmm.
People don't think about that. I wasn't thinking about that. It was
Right.
too easy. Like I would go meet. people, give them stuff, get the money, take the money back to my to person I was dealing with,
Mm-hmm.
and he would give me mine. So it was like it was easy. It was nothing. Like drop from A to B. But when you're doing that, you're not thinking about you getting pulled over by the police and getting locked up. You're not thinking about somebody else hearing about what you're doing and 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 okay, here's our chance. Let's rob him. Let's shoot him. You're not thinking about none of that stuff. You don't think normally when you go through stuff and you go through life and when you're doing things, you don't think about none of that stuff until the consequences come about. Then
And
you
they
be
hit
like,
you.
what? Then you say, oh man, I should have did that. Oh
Yeah.
no, I shouldn't. Like you don't think about none of that until after the consequences come.
Tell me something. Your dad, your uncle, your cousins, were they in that life as well? And did you know like what you were doing wasn't right?
I knew that. I just didn't have. I didn't have like a lot of guidance. I didn't have nobody to steer me right and tell me that's not cool. I didn't have that. I didn't have like you know how some households have their mother and their father,
Mm-hmm.
and both of them are um, what can I say, working class citizens or people that that the mother and the father have a job and they're married.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like I had like my mother was on drugs,
Mm-hmm.
and my father was also on drugs as well. So it was like my mom still struggled with it. So it's just like a lot of things that I didn't have that other people might have had. And then I didn't have those. My role models to look up to was the people that was on the street corners. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
be honest with you. I looked up to them, and I
Okay.
had some of them. Some of them. They didn't tell you not to do it, but they was like, nah, don't do. They just people. Some people will use you to their advantage.
Mm-hmm.
I feel as though when I was doing what I was doing that led up to me getting shot, I was being used.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a question. So here you have your mother who was on drugs, your father
Mm-hmm.
who was on drugs, and I'm sure that hurt you to your heart, right? To see
Mm-hmm.
your mom and dad like that.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you, and there's no judgment, we're just having a conversation, we're talking, to try to
Mm-hmm.
understand. Why would you make the decision to be of that light if it if you saw your mother and you saw your father like that and you didn't like it? Why would you make the decision to be about that life?
It's it, it's a sickness. Some people are sick and have diseases of the heart and the mind, body, and soul, and don't even know it. So it can be a sickness, and it can be a sickness, and like people as far as like me, like I got problems. So everybody has problems and
Mm-hmm.
sicknesses, and but it's different things that people might be addicted to or be accustomed to, and in order to fix it, you have to find the root to that problem and cut it out so it doesn't grow anymore. So I didn't notice I had a problem until after I got hurt.
Mm,
So all of my problems that I realized that when I'm sitting in the house, all I'm doing is eating, sleeping, um, I don't know. I just do like awkward stuff that I never done before
mm,
due to the fact that I don't really want to be out in public. I don't want to be um in crowded places. I don't like because I get sometimes I get a flashback. Sometimes I think I'm seeing something that I'm not. So it's just like you got to recognize your sickness. You got to recognize like a lot of stuff in yourself, and you can fix it, but you just got to know what it is
right,
that you're fixing.
right. And a lot of times that I attend meetings with the elected officials. I attend meetings with law enforcement and other people in my role. And my thing is, we're the only ones at the meeting. So for the person who is selling drugs, are you selling drugs because you have to, or are you selling drugs because you want to? Are you selling drugs because you're trying to make ends meet with your family, things of that nature? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it you have to ask that question. And are people lacking resources? And are people starving? Are people robbing people because they don't have and they need to eat? So those are the questions that I think we need to ask, and having these meetings with people, you know what I mean? We're preaching to the choir. Like we don't have
Mm-hmm.
someone like you in the meetings that can educate us on what's going on in the street and why
Mm-hmm.
these things occur in the street. Because I think things changed. I'm young, but I'm old. And I think the
Mm-hmm.
game changed from back in the day. The You call them the OGs, and the OGs didn't let the young boys do anything around then. If they were going to do something, they would tell them, you go ahead in the house. You can't be around around us. You know what I mean? So I think things have changed so much over the years, and I think we need to understand why things changed. We need to understand why people do what they do. We need to understand why all these shootings are taking place. Like someone actually shot you 16 times.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're seeing a lot of now. People being shot multiple times. Like what kind of message does that send? Is that a code of the street? Is that something new? So let me ask you a question, Jason. What message would you have for the young people who are now out here making bad decisions, which we all do, and you know it will result in what happened to you? What message would you have for these young people today?
Basically, they, I mean, a lot of them, they don't have, they don't have that guidance. They don't have no, their household is broken. They come from a broken household. So it's, if you coming from a broken household and you gotta hustle to eat, and when you go out in them streets and you see somebody that have and you don't have, but you know they not doing the right thing, you the younger generation is they're going to grasp towards that more than going to school or or trying to do something right because they feel as though that's the easiest thing for them to do. So it's like so it's like they it's like a lost generation and it's sad. So it's like for my advice to them would be to like just you at some you got I mean you got to pray for everybody. Everybody needs prayer. So you just got to rely on God with that. So it's just like a lot of things I can tell them. It's just it might go on one ear and out the other, or I might get through to one of them or two of
Mm-hmm.
them maybe, but all of them not going to listen because this is this is they're going to claim this is all they know. At one point, I used to say that the streets was all I knew
Mm-hmm.
until I started working and went out and got me a job and seeing how how hard it is, but the rewards to getting a paycheck and not having to look over your shoulder is a more better reward than anything
Right.
because you work to get what you got. But they're not gonna. The younger generation is not gonna. They don't have that. They don't have that guidance. They don't have that type of person that'll push them towards and do the right thing. And then when you do tell them, some of them just don't. They just don't get it. So
Yeah.
it's like my advice to them is it don't pay. It really don't pay to be out here doing all of that crazy stuff and that nonsense and
Yeah.
out here hurting people. for nothing, because it's all for nothing.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, when you go to jail, you everything is gone. You're gonna lose everything, and then you're not gonna have money. You don't. Most of the times, majority of the times, a lot of the young guys, they don't have money for lawyers, none of that stuff when they go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
So they get all the time in the world. And then the ones that's out here shooting people, the judges, they not playing with them guns and all. They not playing. They giving them the max everything on like the weapons stuff and all
Yeah.
these shootings.
Yeah.
So it's just like can't I can't really like only thing I can do is just tell them just like to be safe, pray, and just work hard at something that's positive.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thank you so much. And Jason, I really do thank you for sharing your story, which I know takes a whole lot of courage. And I am sad that this incident forced you to change your lifestyle. But nevertheless, I am glad that your lifestyle has now changed. And I'm glad that you are able to see your children grow up. So thank you so
Mm-hmm.
much for having the courage to share your story with me today. Thank you for joining me today. Jason was courageous enough to tell his story. There are many people out here today making decisions because they have to. I believe we need more resources in the city of Philadelphia. I believe we need to sit down and mentor more young African American men and young African American women. We have to do more to change the gun violence in the city of Philadelphia. I ask you the question, are you mentoring anyone? Are you helping anyone? Are you loving on our young people so that they know they do not have to lead a life of crime? You could be the one to change the world. The power of one starts with you. Thank you for joining me. Peace and blessings.